Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. Matway, what's
Yes.
the most important thing that you teach your students?
Well, I think this is ridiculous.
Alright, instead of having us tell you what we learned in high school, we're gonna have our teachers tell you instead.
Mr. Matway, what is the most important thing that you teach your students?
Okay, well, I teach U.S. history and government, but the content is not as important as the life skills, I think. The hard work, the punctuality of your work, the quality of your work, and just the basic day-to-day, I'll use a word you guys use, grind, and doing those things and hopefully transferring those to your life.
Yes.
What's the most important thing that you teach your students?
I think the most important thing I teach my students is a love for this country. Right. And also to appreciate what veterans like me have done to keep this country free. So you can be saved because of us, because of veterans in the greatest country in the world. 75.
Mrs. Hutchinson, what's the most important thing that you teach your students?
Well, I'd say for students in general, right, goes beyond what we teach you as a lesson in English and formatting your papers in MLA, and don't plagiarize, which are important. But what I think is most important is to teach kids how to empathize with the world, right? How to go out and when they leave here, be citizens who care for themselves, respect others, their community, their country, the world, the environment. And if we can teach students to have that compassion and that caring for one another, I feel pretty satisfied that I've done my job.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Evoldi, what is the most important thing you teach your students?
Well, Alyssa, I'd have to say that the most important thing I teach my students is not to just simply accept things that other people have told them about how to live their lives, about how to think about the world, and to encourage them to be more independent, to question things, so that they can, find out what they believe to be, their place in this earth and the things that they want to achieve for their own sake, not for the sake of others. And so they can develop, healthy individualistic spirits and not just rely on other people their whole life, but to be lifelong, independent learners. And I think that's, an important thing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Evoldi.
You're welcome, Melissa.
Mrs. Love, what is the most important thing that you think you taught your students?
I think one of the most important things I taught you guys in debate is to try to look at things from a different perspective. You will inevitably get into an argument with someone, you will disagree with someone, and the most important thing is to think about where they're coming from and try to look at alternative points of view.
Tell us when you're ready.
Oh, I've been recording.
Take two.
All right, Mike, what is the most important thing you taught your students?
Over the course of 4 years, it's been interesting to see you guys grow. I came in with you guys as freshmen. We started out in French 1. And I think teaching you guys just to persevere, to continue to do things, and to work hard, I think that was very important. And obviously you've shown that. So a lot of you guys are graduating with honors, and it's good to see that. So I think working hard and just doing the right thing. Yeah, sounds good?
Thank you, Mike. Ms. Moore, what's the most important thing that you teach your students?
Well, good thing I made a list because there's a lot of things that I do for my students, I think. I want them to know, I think it's very important that they are kind to one another, to be accountable for their actions and what they do. That education can be fun. It doesn't just have to be boring and just all monotonous book work. And because I have personal finance now, I think it's important to add that you can't spend more than you make. So make sure you are saving money at all times.
What's the most important thing you teach your students?
Okay, so as a medical careers teacher, I try to teach obviously a lot of healthcare based skills, but in general as a teacher, I'd say the most important thing I'm teaching students is how to be responsible enough to function as a productive member of society. So turning things in on time, being responsible, all those types of things, those skills are what I think are the most important.
Ms. Wilson, what's the most important thing you teach your students?
The most important thing that I teach my students is to creatively problem solve and think for themselves.
That was great. That was great. Thank you.
And it's right, isn't it right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Why'd you guys come all the way over here for one question?
What's the most important thing you teach your students?
I think for me, the most important thing I teach my students is just how to problem solve. Various topics of math, whether it be algebra, geometry, is trying to be creative, critical thinkers, and solving whatever sort of problem. Even with math, we know that a lot of people aren't going to necessarily use every single topic every single day, but if you can problem solve all the different types of things, you're just a better critical thinker and problem solver in anything you do.
That was great.
All right. Mr. Wangman, what is the most important thing you teach your students?
All right, most important thing, it's really three things, and I actually kind of give an overview of the things we've gone over at the end of the year. Really, it's just three rules. I hope that they apply to their lives: is work hard, no excuses, and to try to give back to the community when they can. From a curriculum standpoint, it's just basic reading and writing. You can never be able to read and write more, enough. So just keep reading, keep writing, and that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell, what's the most important thing you teach your students?
That you need to be here on time and your work on time, because in the real world, that's not acceptable.
All right.
All right, Mr. Cole, what is the most important thing that you teach your students?
I would say there's probably two things. One, to be critical thinkers and to understand the world around them. And probably maybe even more important is to know projectiles well enough to do good at beer pong.
All right, Mr. Jeffler, what is the most important thing that you teach your students?
Well, I think it's not so much a specific piece of literature, it's how to read literature, and if all goes well, how to appreciate literature. My personal favorite is poetry, and it doesn't matter what the poem is. It's if you can come away with an appreciation of what poets do, and you take those specific skills and you can apply those to any other poem, that's important. And that applies to short stories, novels, etc. In the realm of writing, it's to be self-sufficient when you move forward in whatever endeavor that you encounter next. If it's to go to college, it's to be able to go into your freshman comp class, able to compete, and hopefully be ahead of the other people who are there. If it's to go into the Army, if it's to go into the workforce, any profession where you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to write. So to be able to effectively communicate your ideas, no matter what the circumstance is.
Thank you. All right, Mike, what is the
Mike!
Are you recording? Are you
Yes.
editing this later?
Yeah.
What is this for, though?
All right, probably the biggest thing.
I was going to ask you.
Oh, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, you can edit that out.
All right.
Also, you want to ask?
No, I got it.